it almost becomes Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian lad, and this time I have watched Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 in 0.25x speed and found 24 new details that you might have missed in regular speed. So without wasting your time, let's jump straight to the point. Number 1. This depiction of Spider-Man has organic webbing, but that doesn't mean he can shoot his web through his suit. He still needs some kind of a nozzle in order to shoot his web while wearing the suit, and that's why we get a glimpse at Peter's web shooters for less than a second when he saves MJ. This is the only scene where his web shooters are visible, and without slowing down the speed, it almost becomes impossible to notice it. Number 2. When Peter Parker accidentally shoots his web at school, he was actually making the Spider-Man hand gesture, and 5 minutes later in the movie, Peter discovered that this is the only hand gesture that activates his organic webbing. So even before we get to see this scene, we were already introduced to this hand motion. Number 3. At the beginning of the movie, Peter Parker takes a couple of pictures of MJ at the lab that they visited for their field trip. One of these pictures appears once again in Spider-Man 2 when Peter goes to his apartment, and in the background we see a framed photo of Mary Jane where she is wearing the same outfit as she did while taking these pictures. I've already watched Spider-Man 2 in 0.25x speed, so more on that when I release that video.
Pizza time.
Number 4. When Peter gained his powers, they incorrectly blurred the entire screen when Peter realizes he doesn't need his glasses, whereas they should have only blurred the screen through the lenses. In Spider-Man 2, however, they recreated the exact same effect, but this time they corrected this mistake and only blurred the screen inside the lens. Number 5. In the final fight where Spider-Man had to save MJ and a tram full of kids, he was lowering the tram so that it could land on the small boat. But notice Spider-Man's hand leaves a trail of blood on the cable as he lowers it. Now questions can be asked, how is he bleeding through his suit? And the answer could be that the weight of the tram has extracted a heavy toll on his hands, resulting in extreme bleeding. Number 6. When Spider-Man punches Green Goblin during their first fight, the stunt double slips inside the Goblin's suit can be seen not moving, but Willem Dafoe voiceover's impressive.
Impressive!
This is probably a small error in editing, but I thought I'll put this in the video anyway. Number 7. In the scene where Peter tests what he can do with his webbing, Aunt May knocks on his door to ask if he's okay.
Peter? What's going on in there?
Now if I zoom in, then you'll be able to see that Peter's wallpaper is made up of spider webs. This one is indeed an awesome attention to detail. Number 8. In the scene where Peter Parker catches Mary Jane's lunch on the tray involved no CGI. That's right, they used a sticky substance to keep the tray planted on his hand. Eventually, after many takes, Tobey Maguire performed the stunt exactly as seen.
Wow. Great reflexes.
Number 9. When J. Jonah Jameson was asking for better pictures of Spider-Man, he was told that Eddie has been on it for weeks.
Tomorrow morning, Spider-Man, page 1 with a decent picture this time.
The problem is we don't have a decent picture. Eddie's been on it for weeks. We can barely get a glimpse of it.
This is a huge reference to Eddie Brock, who becomes one of the main villains, aka Venom, in Spider-Man 3. Number 10. At the Thanksgiving dinner at Peter's apartment, all the costumes of every actor represent each of their characters. For example, Spider-Man wears the Green Goblin's color, while Green Goblin wears a red tie that represents the color of Spider-Man. Also notice Harry told MJ to wear something black in a previous scene in order to impress his father, and that's why MJ is wearing black, and Harry is also wearing a red tie, which indicates in the future he will become the new Goblin. One thing we gotta keep in mind is that no actors come up with random clothes and shoot their scenes. It's the costume department that decides what they're gonna wear, and that's how they color code the entire movie to represent different sorts of values. Number 11. When Peter Parker is testing out his webbing for the first time, he says catchphrases from several classic DC comics.
Fly! Up and away, Web! Shazam!
Up, Up and Away is from the Superman comics, and Shazam, which of course stands for Shazam. Number 12. In the final fight, Green Goblin steps on Peter's hand to prevent him from shooting his web. There we see for a second that Green Goblin was wearing Nike Air Flightposite. This was found way back by a Twitter user, so shoutouts to him. Number 13. When Uncle Ben drops Peter at the downtown library, he drives a honey beige 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88. This car has been used in a number of Sam Raimi's films, including The Evil Dead, Darkman, and Drag Me to Hell. Number 14. As Peter was getting out of the car after talking to Uncle Ben, we can see that he was wearing his wrestling costume underneath his hoodie. Number 15. During the scene where Peter was chasing the robber who killed Uncle Ben, there's a police car with a license plate that reads 1927. Steve Ditko, who co-created Spider-Man with Stan Lee, was born in 1927. The amount of hard work Ditko has put behind making Spider-Man, it only makes it fair that we get one simple Easter egg for him. Number 16. When the radioactive spider bites Peter Parker, the TV screen behind him listed all the genetic traits of the specific spider. They only show it for a couple of seconds, and Peter eventually goes on to getting all of these powers himself. Number 17. When we get a montage of Spider-Man saving the city and catching the bad guys, we get a glimpse at the Twin Towers, which is reflected in Spider-Man's lenses. The Twin Towers appear once again in the television that's inside Jameson's office. Number 18. Going back to the beginning of the movie during the lunch break at school, when Peter Parker was eating, if we zoom in, we can clearly see the spider bite with venom that left a mark on his right hand. Number 19. In the scene where we see Peter's apartment from the outside, there's a sign in his building that says the web string platform. Now I don't think there could have been any better advertisement outside Peter's apartment than this one. Number 20. When Green Goblin attacked J. Jonah Jameson asking for the photographer who takes pictures of Spider-Man, Jameson actually never gave up Peter's name.
Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
I don't know who he is. His stuff comes in the mail.
You're lying!
I swear.
He's the one who can bring me to him.
I don't know who he is.
You are useless.
He could have easily sold Peter to save himself, but he didn't, because he knew that Peter is just a kid with a camera. So deep down, J. Jonah Jameson actually does have some integrity. Number 21. Spider-Man tried to capture Green Goblin using his web. However, Green Goblin broke out of it. But if we listen carefully, then we will hear a metal noise as the web breaks down. Breaking Spider-Man's web makes a similar sound as if you're breaking or bending a metal. This symbolizes how strong Spider-Man's webs are. Number 22. When Harry Osborn hugs his father, we get a quick Green Goblin jump scare. But if I slow down the speed, you can clearly see there's another Green Goblin standing still in the background. As creepy as it may look, but this was foreshadowing that Harry Osborn is indeed going to become the new Goblin. Number 23. The Osborn mansion has a portrait of a woman in a black dress. Now this could be the wife of Norman Osborn, because in the previous scene, Harry tells MJ that she should have worn the black dress because his father loves black, and probably that's why Norman Osborn has this portrait of a woman in a black dress. Number 24. When Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man and begins to save the city, we see a montage of newspaper articles, but one of those articles is incomplete. The first paragraph is copied and pasted in order to make it seem longer. And that's it. These are all my findings so far from Spider-Man 1, and this was